is time. Call to order the meeting of the Minnehaha Creek Watershed District Board of Managers for July 30th, 2015. All managers are present except managers Olson and Blixt. There is no member of the public here. Is there a motion to approve the agenda? Thank you. There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Are there any changes? I would like to add an item under Board Reports 9.1. Manager Calkins has an item about the AAS Research Center. And under item 13, Board Discussion, Ms. Clark will be making a presentation on the Powell Road diversion. Are there any other changes anyone wants? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Introduction of new staff. Hi.
So, managers, my name is Catherine Sylvia, and I'm pleased to be introducing myself as the new permitting program lead for the district. This is the tail end of my third week at the district, and I feel proud and lucky to be working with a staff that is dedicated and enthusiastic about their work as ours is. Some projects that I've already had the opportunity to become involved with include Lennar Laketown 9th development, the Southwest Light Rail expansion for the western suburbs, the Edina Community Lutheran Church expansion, and seeking a delegation agreement with the Army Corps of Engineers.
Outside of that, what have you been doing?
Relaxing. Before coming to the district, I was working for an environmental consulting firm, coordinating Clean Water Act Section 404 and 401 permit applications for natural gas pipeline projects in Pennsylvania, New York, West Virginia, and Indiana. Coordinating these permit applications required cross-discipline work within my company as well as multi-agency coordination for permit approval. Working towards meeting the needs of former clients has given me perspective that will be useful in partnering with the development community to work together on projects that improve our cities and also provide natural resource benefit. I'm planning on using my experience in coordinating permit approval with multiple state and federal agencies to inform my work at the district and also forging and maintaining partnerships with our community leaders, state regulatory agencies, and federal regulatory agencies. My goals as permitting program lead are to provide structure and guidance to the permitting department, implement a professional development plan that will not only benefit our current generation of staff, but that can also be used transcendently as years go on. Form a consistent level of partnership and agreement with all of our municipality and community leaders, and seek out and secure projects that I will offer opportunities for all departments of the district to work collaboratively together towards our common goal of attaining natural resource benefits beyond regulation.
Thank you and
Thank you.
welcome.
Yeah, good luck. Thanks.
Under information items and correspondence, we have a Taft Legion project update from Ms. Christopher, and I have 3 letters that we have received. The first is from Senator Klobuchar on the occasion of the ribbon cutting for the Minnehaha Creek Preserve Restoration Project. She did not attend but sent us a very nice letter. And similarly, we have a letter for that occasion from Congressman Keith Ellison. We also have a letter from Senator Klobuchar congratulating us on our Minnehaha Creek cleanup and thanking us for our efforts there. I'll give these to and Mr. Erdahl. There is also in the correspondence an invitation to, I must find it. Stormwater Congress in Chicago in September, and I'll give this to Mr. Erdahl as well. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Move approval.
Second.
I would like to remove the minutes of the July 9th board meeting. 6.1. Everything else, with that exception, is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Thank you. For the President's report, let me say that I have been at several meetings and events since the last meeting, along with other managers. I attended the Metro Mod meeting, the creek cleanup, the ribbon cutting, and the NEMO workshop on the water. I will leave it to staff to say more detail, but I was so pleased and impressed with the great organization and turnout and participation and the way that the creek cleanup and the ribbon cutting went. Were just wonderful tribute to you all. Thank you so much.
I know it's your report, but it seems like an appropriate time to mention it. I really want to particularly comment on Kelly Mamayak's superb organizational skills. That ribbon cutting, I've been at a lot of ribbon cuttings, and it was the most organized, most professional, and most effective one with the message got out, and you could, for one time, you could hear everything that was said in spite of the fact that it was outside. It was really well done. All the technical parts and all every element of the effort was really well done. Thanks a lot, Kelly.
I agree. The last thing I'll mention is that the Wayzata Lake Effect Signature Project Design Team Selection Committee met earlier this week. And we had a week and a half to review 13 submissions. We narrowed it down to 3. There will be a media release that comes out with those names. I won't say who they were. But we will be meeting again on the 18th to hear presentations and interview those 3 candidates. And then the City Council will probably act on September 15th to choose a design team. Then I would anticipate that in about October, they'll be wanting to meet with all of the regulatory and permitting agencies, including us. On the Metro Mod report, did either of you, Managers Olson or Blixt, want to weigh in? Manager Olson?
I do, and I'm searching for it.
I couldn't find mine before I left home with my
You
notes.
have mine here. There we go. We had a very interesting stormwater presentation from the MPCA representative, Melissa Wenzel, who talked about the issues from their perspective and their involvement. And it was interesting that she noted that the MCWD is the gold standard when it comes to education of industrial stormwater education and assistance to people in our watershed. Our website, she said, is exactly what the MPCA would like to see statewide. And she said that partners that work with her are watershed districts, cities, counties, universities, organizations, and Minnesota TAP, Minnesota Wastewise, that kind of thing. So that was a nice thing for her to mention us. They also regulate all the waste facilities in the state as well as airports. A lot can be said for de-icing airplanes and things like that, but it's still a challenge. There was also discussion on an MS4 spill that she showed pictures of, and I'm glad it's not in our area. And Ray Bone got up and talked about an enormous amount of events that happened at the state capitol. And he talked about a $40 million flood project, bonding bills that had been approved, and he also mentioned that Bowser got $57 million for their efforts as well. We did not have, Maud did not have one word in the buffer bill toward the end of that, so all of his work fell on deaf ears. And finally, the DNR got up and acknowledged the huge effort we did at Christmas Lake, and said that it was a huge learning experience for everybody. And that at the same time, they also acknowledged that Forest Lake now has zebra mussels, and Lake Vermilion has spiny water flea. So it's going to get always on the front edge of change for these lakes. Anyway, that's it. Thank you.
Manager Blixt, okay. Manager Calkins.
Thank you. I had a couple of things that I thought the board might be interested. I'm serving on the Minnesota Invasive Species Advisory Council, and Dr. Susan Galadowicz, a former colleague of mine in the Department of Horticultural Science, is the director, and she made a presentation to us, and I just gave each one of you have a copy of what their priorities are for the center. And she explained the process they went through. They went through a pretty rigorous process to whittle down over 300 ideas, I think it was, for things, down to a much smaller list of things that they could focus on. And so that's what this is, and I won't go into it in any detail. You can take a look at it on your own. They also, in line with what Manager Olson was just saying, there are 6 new zebra mussel infestations in the state, and there are 4 of those are lakes, and there's also a number of new spiny water flea, and so there's 34 zebra mussel infestations now and 28 spiny water flea infestations in the state. And 2 other things. One is the Upper Midwest Invasive Species Conference is going to be in La Crosse in October of this year. And the National Council is also going to be meeting in the Twin Cities in October, but they haven't picked a date yet. So both of those conferences, the National Invasive Species Advisory Committee and the Upper Midwest Invasive Species Conference, will both be in our neighborhood. So that's something people might be interested in. Thanks.
Thank you. Any other updates, meetings managers have gone to? Manager Calkins and I were at the NEMO workshop on the water, and the speaker from the Sea Grant at the University of Minnesota Duluth wanted to put a positive spin on AIS, and talked about the proportion of lakes that do not have AIS, and really wanted to spin the positive story. It was interesting. Our upcoming meeting and event schedule is printed in the agenda. Going down to action items, 6.1 are the minutes from July 9th. And I want to propose a change in the final paragraph of the minutes. And I have a printout here. I wanted to recognize that the opening sentence talks about a decision being made on April 30th. It was a reference to a meeting and not to the board's decision date. And I also wanted to add more detail to my statement regarding the actions that had been taken and in the past. So it is a lengthier paragraph than is in the minutes. And I would move approval of the minutes with that change.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you very much. Item 12.2, Ms. Domjancic. Resolution 15-065.
Madam Chair, managers, tonight staff is seeking authorization.
Excuse me, could you use the microphone?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Tonight staff is seeking authorization for 2 items. One, to contract with WINC to develop the documents and provide construction oversight for 2015-2016 pond maintenance, and authorization to solicit bids for that pond maintenance. Pond sediment surveys that were conducted in May of this year determined the need to maintain 3 stormwater ponds. The first being the Steiger Wetland Pond. The Steiger Wetland Pond is a small stormwater pond to the southeast of the project site that was constructed with the development of the Katy Hills development in Victoria. We don't think that the pond has been maintained in its 25-year existence, and at that time in May when the pond was surveyed, it was determined to have a 75% wet volume reduction. This is an example of legacy infrastructure that the district now owns, and based on our understanding, the pond has not been maintained. And WINC has estimated the cost of maintaining the Tiger Wetland Pond to be $287,000. In consideration of this very high cost, the staff would like to spend 2015 exploring several options in terms of whether this is the best use of the cost, whether it be an initial stormwater pond facility upstream towards Steiger Lake, or a sand iron filter ring around the pond to contain the sediment contamination. Gleason Ponds 2 and 3 were also found to require maintenance, having a decreased wet volume of 57% and 68% respectively. These ponds will be maintained in the winter of 2015-2016. And WINC has proposed to develop the bid documents and to provide construction oversight for the Gleason Pond maintenance at a cost of $17,463. Staff requests this amount plus contingency not to exceed $19,209. And we're requesting final action tonight. Take any questions?
Is there a motion to get this before us?
So
Move approval.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any questions for Ms. Domjancic? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you very much. Agenda item 12.3 is resolution 15-066. Ms. Christopher.
Madam Chair, managers, in May, the board reviewed the annual revised draft CIP and authorized distribution to the cities and counties for 30-day review and comment. Staff received 4 emails in response, and those are from the cities of Minnetonka, Plymouth, Minneapolis, and Mound. The comments from Minnetonka and Mound express support for the proposed CIP and two-track approach. Emails from Plymouth and Minneapolis were questions regarding specific projects, and those comments and responses were included in your packet. None of the commenters requested any changes to the proposed CIP, so staff is not recommending any changes and requesting that the draft CIP be approved as presented in May.
Thank you. Is there a motion to get this before us?
Yes.
Is there a second?
Second.
We had 2 motions and a second. Excellent. Are there questions for Ms. Christopher? Manager Blixt?
I just was wondering about the response to the city of Minneapolis, and just I just was confused myself because and I'm sure it's all fine, but I just was unclear as to is the idea that because the city is not planning to do work themselves, there's nothing to partner with them about? Is that the gist of what you're saying?
Yes, exactly, Manager Blixt. These projects were always intended to be done in partnership to complement work the city would be doing to address local flooding. And so we've expressed that we remain willing to partner when they're ready to move forward. So we are working together currently in Hiawatha Golf Course, which addresses the one flood area that was referenced, and to our knowledge, there's nothing planned right now by Lake Harriet, the other area.
I know they're currently undergoing a comprehensive, I was going to say remodeling, but they are modeling the entire city for stormwater using Atlas 14. That process is going to take a couple of years, and so hopefully we're not going to have to wait until they're done with that whole process before we have projects that we can partner with them on. Have you had discussions with them about that?
Well, there are a couple things that we are currently working on. Like I mentioned, one is the Hiawatha Golf Course. We've got a cooperative agreement with the City and Park Board, and I believe there was just a meeting on that earlier today. So that is in the works. And then the other area would be stream repairs from the flood damage, working with both the City and Park Board moving forward. So that is also in the CIP, and I know we're just kind of waiting on some of the confirmations from FEMA as to which sites have funding, and then we'll be getting together to determine how those are carried out.
Okay.
Any other questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you very much, Ms. Christopher.
Under board discussion,
Manager Miller?
Could we get an update on the resolution report? The report on resolutions?
Do we have the information?
Yeah. Do you want that right now?
Mm-hmm.
Manager Miller, President White, and the managers. The plan currently, because I think that we had been planning to present that a couple weeks ago at the meeting, but then that was that the schedule changed and people weren't available for that, so we wanted to make sure that we did that when people were here. So I think the current plan is, as a follow-up to that request, there's going to be a presentation with Lewis Smith and from our legal team presenting at the workshop on August 13th. That we'll kind of put the whole package together about tracking and kind of the follow-up on those resolutions. And I don't know, Chuck, if you had anything else to add. I know that someone had some discussions with Lewis earlier today, and he wasn't going to be here today, but that was kind of the gist of the.
So it has been
Okay.
ready, we're just waiting for it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Thank you very much. Under board discussion items, Ms. Clark, we have added an item about the Powell Road diversion.
Manager White, managers, I'm here tonight to give you an update on construction and an update on modification to the design that I feel is worthy of the board to be aware of. As you know, the project is designed to not only treat 260 acres of regional stormwater, but it also alleviates local flooding from about a 30-acre drainage area to the west of the project, which comes through the project site in a series of mismatched pipe configurations. During construction, we've been made aware by witnessing the localized flooding as a result of really intense rainfalls. This is a picture of the most recent rain on Tuesday. The outlet of all this water comes through this the blue pipe and continues on its existing flow path to the west. The interim condition until the 325 Blake project is online is for the regional stormwater to take its current paths to the creek through Powell Road and through this system as it does today. With hearing concerns of property owners while we've been working in the area, concerned about our project effects on local flooding, they've asked us to look at the issue and look at options to alleviate the flooding problems. The picture in the upper left, that water comes within an inch or so of entering the building, which is all one level. The solution that's proposed is taking the water from that 30-acre drainage area and diverting it today rather than in 2 years from now, and discharging it behind the cold storage building. That change would eliminate the proposed interim solution of pipes to the east. The net result is is anticipated to be a no net cost increase. I've done agency coordination to facilitate the work. The discharge is not visible from the creek bank itself. It kind of sits behind the floodplain area and comes out next to a drainage pipe off the building of 325 Blake. The discharge would have energy dissipation and take that flow path into the creek. It's untreated water that goes into the creek today, just a little bit further upstream. Again, it's not anticipated to be a cost increase because of the deletion of other work, and that infrastructure would be abandoned then when the 325 Blake treatment facility comes online. So again, there's no board action requested as a part of this change, but staff felt it was significant that the board should be aware.
Manager Olson?
In that picture where you've got the dumpster in 3 feet of water, is there a drain there that goes directly to the creek?
That water
That's a low
Yep.
spot, as it's a depression.
There's a drain that doesn't, it becomes overwhelmed,
Okay.
and the water goes out to Powell. All this water, the picture up to the right is this area of the new pipe here, and that water floods and sheet flows out to Powell, what the existing local drainage can't handle.
Manager Shekelton?
So the proposed discharge you're talking about would flow into something that dissipate energy. Does that exist currently, or is that new infrastructure that you have to build just off the creek?
It's new infrastructure. We'd be deleting
Yep.
this temporary system, putting a new pipe from the manhole that's dead-ended on 325 Blake, and it would end at the bottom of the hill, approximately 10, 15 yards back from the creek.
Sure. How would that, I know we don't have hard and fast plans for how to use that space once we move to redeveloping that space. What kind of effects do you have in terms of how this might affect what we do?
That space is intended to be part of Greenway and Green Corridor. The entire bank is buckthorn, so we'd be removing buckthorn in the corridor to get the pipe down. That flared end section and that impact would be removed and potentially reused later when the facility is built.
So long and short of it is, no matter what happens, that whole bank is going to look dramatically different in 10 years, 15 years, once everything is changed.
Correct.
And that by adding this, it doesn't really change what we do in the future.
Correct.
Cool. Thank you.
Other questions? Thank you very much for the update. The meeting is adjourned. We will recess for about 3 to 5 minutes and then reconvene as a joint committee. Should we audio record? It's not standard for committees, that's not.
I'm not complaining.
Coffee? Milk? Water?